Hello, everyone. Welcome to Astro Insights. I am Mel Rose with Rose Tarot and Astrology. Welcome. Thank you for being here. Thank you for joining me for your week ahead preview for the astrology of the week ahead. Sure. Today is November 30th, 1925. 1925? Melanie.
Everyone,
Good morning.
welcome to
Today is November 30th, 2025. Okay, and we are looking at the week ahead. So from today until Sunday, December 7th, today is the 30th. The sun is in Sagittarius and the moon is in Aries. So it's a very fiery start to the week in the sign of Sagittarius when the sun is in Sagittarius. And it's especially these first 20 days of December is the last 20 days of Sagittarius. Is a time when we really are outgoing and active. It's a time when we want to spread warmth, to share light. It is the time of year when the nights get to be the longest and darkest nights of the year. So we want to check in on our friends and our family. We want to make sure everybody's got warmth and they've got food and they've got companionship, because this is the tough time of year for people to get through. So if there's somebody on your mind that you've been meaning to get in touch with, go ahead and get in touch with them right now and just, reach out and say, hey, I'm checking in. How are you doing? It helps a lot, I think. So today, sun is in Sagittarius. The moon is in Aries. That gives us a lot of forward motion. It gives us a lot of sense of initiative, wanting to start things. It also makes us want to sort of lay down boundaries, so we know what we do want and we know what we don't want. We check in with ourselves when we enter a situation and we say, is this a yes or a no for me? And if it's a no, then you walk away from the situation, right? Okay, that's sun in Sagittarius, moon in Aries. And then also today, and one of the big things that's happening this week is that Venus is moving on into Sagittarius out of Scorpio. So Venus spent the last few weeks in Scorpio, and fortunately the transit there was not very long. Venus is not at her best in Scorpio. Scorpio is very internal and inward looking, and Venus is an attractor of things, especially outside ourselves. So when Venus is in Scorpio, over the past month or so, it might have seemed like we were calling into question our own roles in our relationships. It might have seemed as if we were thinking about, how do I say this? How to be our truest self, how to express ourselves as authentically as possible in the context of the relationships that we're in, whether those be romantic loving relationships or friendships or relationships with our coworkers, that kind of thing. Okay, so how do I be true to myself and maintain good relationships with the people around me is a question that has been on my mind lately. And now that Venus is moving into Sagittarius, to me, that's one of the bigger transits that planets make, is to come out of Scorpio and into Sagittarius, because it's out of that fixed, deep, cold water and into this sort of like light up the night sort of vibration. It's very fireworks. It's very much about the spreading of warmth and light. So Sagittarius is the archer. Sagittarius, has goals and is an active principle. So Venus in Sagittarius might not be as comfortable as Venus is in, Pisces or Cancer or Taurus or Libra, but Venus in Sagittarius is happy to get there, because the inward looking, sometimes we only want to do so much of that. You spend too much time navel gazing, and then you miss things that are going on in your actual life. So turning without and looking at the world and seeing what we want, because Venus is desire, what we want to see grow, what we want to see expand, what we want to see spread, the joy, the love, the warmth, the light that we want to share in the world. We're thinking about how we want that to look, how we want that to go about. And that's coming up for the next 4 or 5 weeks. And then tomorrow, Monday the 1st, the sun, Sagittarius, the moon moves on into Taurus. And so our personal life focus, while the sun is in Sagittarius, we're still trying to light things up and spread some warmth. The moon moves on into Taurus, and we become a little more personally interested in our own security, the feeling as though we have the supplies we need. So, sun in Taurus moon in Taurus is a good time to do your grocery shopping, that kind of thing. It's probably a good time to do your holiday shopping if you're doing holiday shopping right now, just so that you got a good deal and that the stuff that you purchased was going to last. So that's the moon in Taurus. And with this week, we continue to have something we've had for a few weeks now, which is this grand trine in water signs continuing to get activated. There are 5 or 6 planets that are involved in this, and we will have this grand trine for the next week and a half with us here. And really, grand trine in water signs, you've got Pluto, and you've got Jupiter, you've got Mercury and Venus and the sun, and all of these planets are all interacting in this really gracious way with one another. And it has to do with how we connect with one another, how things feel to us, how it feels to us when we interact with the people we're close to or the people that we got to work with. So, with the grand trine and water signs, I really invite you to practice that thing where you sort of sit back and float and try to go with the flow, allow things to feel good, and allow yourself to go in the direction of the things that feel good. Because, especially with Jupiter in Cancer right now, it's just a very fortunate sign. If you are able to go with the flow, if you're able to show up where you're requested, if you're able to ask for the right things at the right moment, then really easily, things can very easily become manifest for you. Things that you feel can be turned into things that are actual reality for you. Okay, so that's the moon in Taurus and the sun in Sagittarius, grand trine intensity all week. Please try to go with the flow. Venus makes a sextile to Pluto on Tuesday, and that's desire in cooperation with this transformation, that long, slow transformation that we are always undergoing because change doesn't stop, right? So we're getting sort of hip to the things that are coming up for us as major changes, and maybe we're trying to draw them toward us. Maybe we're opening our hearts to those changes a little bit more. Maybe we're, adjusting our mindset to embrace things that we either didn't see coming or can now see coming that we hadn't anticipated. And then on Wednesday, the moon moves on into Gemini, and that personal life focus becomes a lot more about self-expression, about singing, dancing, spelling it out, really saying what you need to say, whether it's to yourself or to the people around you. I advise, positive, reinforcing, supportive, validating speech at this time. And be creative and interact with people and see what you can do when you share your ideas together, how much more you can create. Then on Thursday, we have the full moon in Gemini. That's the other big thing this week. So full moon in Gemini is a time of culmination, and it's culminating our message, really. It's culminating your message to the world. What is important to you? What is it that has to be said? What is it that needs to be expressed right now? We're all feeling something that needs to be expressed. And so I really invite you, especially Monday through Thursday, to be thinking about what it is that needs to be expressed and culminating some sort of message that you need to send to, like I said, yourself or someone that you interact with, somebody that's close to you, somebody you work with, or maybe the entire world, like we do here at Rose Tarot and Astrology. Okay, and then also on Thursday, Mercury is going to have an adjustment energy with Chiron. So some opportunity to solve a problem comes up, some opportunity maybe even to bring some healing into our lives comes up. And it's the full moon in Gemini, which is ruled by Mercury that day. And Mercury is saying, okay, this is what I need to feel healed. This is what I need to feel as though these problems are getting solved, right? That's that's the message we're culminating, is like, how do we solve these problems? We're all out here looking at the problems in the world going, how am I going to solve these problems? How am I going to solve my personal problems? And how am I going to be a part of a larger solution for everybody? So expect a little bit of insight to come to you in the coming days, especially with that full moon in Gemini on Thursday. And then on Friday, Mars activates a trine to Chiron. That is Chiron in Aries, which is Mars ruling sign. So I see a problem getting solved. I see us being able to take action to get something to facilitate very easily for us this Thursday and Friday. And then the moon moves into Cancer that evening on Friday evening. Moon in Cancer brings us back to our home life, brings us back to nurturing ourselves, our own bodies, and the people we keep close, and our home space as well. On Saturday, Mercury trines Jupiter, activating again that grand trine in water signs. So that's that's Mercury in Scorpio moving forward now, right? We're no longer retrograde, activating that grand trine in water signs, really saying, speak up and say what it is that you want, especially trining Jupiter in Cancer, because Jupiter in Cancer is here to make it rain for us. Okay. It's here to give us this feeling of spiritual abundance, of spiritual personal capability to connect with the rest of the world in the ways that we need to, in order to grow, in order to expand our empires, for our each and every one of us personal plan for global domination, right? And then on Sunday, Mars also aspects Jupiter in a way that's kind of adjustment. So on Sunday, there's advice to think about how you're doing things and whether they align with the problems that you're trying to solve, right? And then there's also guidance there with Mercury trining Saturn, activating that grand trine in water sign to, again, speak up about what is important to you, speak up about what it is that you're trying to build, to improve upon, to make secure in your life. It's a very, very positive time for, if we speak up, if we say what we need, if we work on the plan, it will come together easily. And then Sunday night, the moon moves on into Leo. That's next week, and we will talk about it then. So, yeah, that's this week. Today, Venus moves into Sagittarius, and then that grand trine in water signs is being heavily activated all week long. So really go with how things feel. Don't move into spaces that don't feel right to you. Don't go ahead with plans that don't feel right with you. Make sure we're still in that post-Mercury retrograde shadow, okay? Make sure that you're still dotting your I's, crossing your T's, reading the instructions before you put the thing together, right? And with Venus in Sagittarius, we can become a little more social and outgoing and a little more communicative about what it is we're trying to attract into our lives, because we've done some reflection lately on whether that's really what we want. Okay, friends, that is the week ahead in astrology. I sure appreciate you for being here, for checking in on your regular current astrology. As you know, as above, so below, we look to the sky and the way the planets and the asteroids move across the backdrop of the constellations. And we've done this for 1 million years at least, to give us some inkling as to what kind of energies might be playing out right here on the ground for us. And with that information, we are hopefully able to navigate our lives with a little more success and ease and prosperity. That's what I use it for. It actually does work for me because I pay attention to the astrology. I know what's coming up, and I feel prepared for it. And that's a lot, friends. Okay, so now is the time when we move into the reading for the week. We're going to do a 2-card tarot card reading for this week, which is today, the 30th of November, through Sunday, the 7th of December. This is the first week of December coming up, basically, 2025. Can you believe we're already at the end of the year? I can barely believe it. It feels like the days just flip over. Okay, So the first thing I want to draw a card for is that Venus in Sagittarius. How does that feel to us, going Venus into Sagittarius, coming out of that internal reflection vibe about our relationships to ourselves and others, and into that more warmer, wanting to spread and share light and activity with the people that we keep close, or the people that we want to keep close, or really just the stuff and things we like, love, and can't get enough of. How does that feel? Feels like that Celine Dion song, Coming Out of the Dark. Oh, look at that. It's the moon card. That's great. Yes, coming out of the dark, sort of coming out of, the cave, the place that we go for introspection, the place that we go to clear out our old BS so that we can make room for some new BS, or maybe it's not BS, but the place we go to sort of check on ourselves and make sure that we're being true to ourselves and make sure that we're being true to our commitments as well. That's where we have been, is that Venus in Scorpio. And now you take what you've learned from that and you apply it as you go out into the world and spread a little bit of light and warmth with the people that you know, the people you interact with. Everybody that you interact with is somebody you have a relationship with, okay? So pay attention to those relationships. I love this card because it's got two wolves on it, basically. And the story is mainly, it is supposed to be that there's one of these is like a domesticated dog and the other is a wild wolf. And we all have both the wild and the domesticated side of ourselves, right? So, we kind of ignore the wild side of ourselves at our peril. Everybody's got to cut loose every once in a while. Everybody's got to go dancing and shake it all off. And then we also ignore the domesticated side of ourselves at our own peril. If we don't allow ourselves some comfort, if we don't allow ourselves some of the amenities that that humanity lives on these days, then we kind of go without part of our humanity. So there are two sides to us. There is an internal and an external. There's a wild and there's a domesticated, and we have to strike the balance between the two. And I think that's what comes across with this Venus coming out of Scorpio into Sagittarius. Is sort of like coming out of a deep time of reflection, and into a time of shining, right? So we've come out of reflection, and now we know what it is that we have, what kind of light we have to shine for others. How we reflect that others' light back on them comes to mind too with the moon card. Think about how people are shining for you. Jennifer and I watched the follow-up to The Shining the other day. It's what was that called? The Sleep Doctor. Sleep Doctor. Good movie. We enjoyed that. Think about how other people shine for you, and think about what you reflect back to them when they do it. Okay. And then the other thing coming up this week on Thursday is that full moon in Gemini. This is very much a week for communicating. This is very much a week inviting us to tell ourselves and everybody else, tell the world what it is we're about, what it is that we want to develop, where it is we're trying to go, what we idealize, for ourselves and for everybody around us. It's really that time to be spreading warmth and communicating, touching base with people. So this full moon in Gemini, here's the card for it. Oh, we got a Two of Wands in reverse. Okay. So there's still a little bit of self-discovery coming here. Okay. This is, we were just talking about Venus having gone from Scorpio into Sagittarius, and when Venus is in Scorpio, that's a self-discovery time. It is a time when we're looking within to make sure we're being true to our commitments and true to ourselves in our relationships. And that upside down card comes across to me as very internal. So as we sort of come out of that vibration of internal reflection and we begin to communicate about what it is that what we want, what we need, what we desire in order to be better in our relationships to ourselves and others, as we communicate, we might still discover some more things about ourselves. Okay, so I think I said that already. I think on Gemini, on Thursday, the full moon in Gemini is really about to bring us some self-discovery, some particular insights about how and who we are in the world in relationship to other people. And I love that Gemini. I love that it's the moon in Gemini and it's the Two of Wands, because moon in Gemini, I mean, the Gemini sign just looks like two wands. And it's about the twins, right? It's about Castor and Pollux. It's about the, one twin was a god and the other twin was mortal. And when the gods wanted to raise up the twin that was a god, he wouldn't go without his twin brother, who was mortal, because that was how he considered himself to be whole in relationship to others, able to collaborate with others. That's how we consider ourselves to be whole. And with self-reflection, we can sort of help ourselves discover new ways, easier ways, lighter ways. How about if it could be an easier way to consider yourself whole, to feel whole? And how about if that could be, spreading warmth and contact with other people? I really think so. Okay, so those are our two cards for the week. We got the moon for the Venus moving into Sagittarius and the Two of Wands. This still feels a lot like we are learning about ourselves, like there is self-discovery, but also that there are reflections and light to share. So whatever it is that you have discovered lately, please come along and share it with the rest of us this week. Go with the flow, friends. That grand trine in water signs is really advising you to go with what feels good to you. Listen to how things feel to you, okay? Let that intuition speak and trust it a little bit. Okay, my friends, thank you so much for joining me today. That is our episode for the 30th of November, 2025. And I'm so happy that you could be here with me. Thank you for being here, and I will catch you all next Sunday in the next video. Love ya. Bye-bye.